Hello, this is Mr. Grider, and welcome to another episode of CoasterFaQs Reacts, a series where we look at upcoming roller coasters, rides, and attractions. Now, for this episode, we are going to be looking at Tumbili coming to Kings Island in the spring of 2022. Now, now with this one, as well as some of the other ones for the season 4, I apologize for how late they're coming out, but I recently started a new job and I haven't had time to make these videos. So I apologize for that event. Now back to Tumbili. It's an SNS 4D free spin, which actually does bring up a couple of points that I might just come back to after we look at the coaster itself. As for Tumbili, it's 112 foot tall, so decent sized coaster. Not big as in the park, but still decent size. It has 770 feet of track, goes 34 miles an hour, which seems a little low, but from what I know with SNS 4D free spins, there's no drop that goes all the way to the bottom. It basically goes down about midway, and it's going to go down about from what I know, it's going to go down about midway, and then it stops. So even though it might be 114 foot tall, it's not going to have a drop anywhere near as big. It's and as well, on top of that, it has small trains. Only 8 people can get on at a time, but most of these you can, if I'm right, can run multiple trains at a single time. But that's just a quick piece of speculation, and on my part, don't take that as fact. And but if there's a few things that I'm interested to discuss about with this roller coaster, but again, I'll get to those at the end of the video. And on that note, let's get onto the roller coaster. The video is from Coaster Crew, and it's just Tumbili's official POV. And on that note, here we go. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Before I discuss on very important thing I forgot to mention before we watch this is replacing something. It's replacing the crypt, the top spin flat ride that used to be in that part of King's Dominion, but as well as that section, I think it is the Africa section. It's getting a brief retheming, from an Africa to more of a overall safari theme to it. So with that, there's going to be a bunch of new stuff in the area, as well as a couple of the rides are getting being renamed. Now, coasters like I-305, Fly Fear, and I think Backlot Sun Coaster are all going to stay the same in terms of the area. Yeah, but so you're still going to find a NASCAR theme, an alien theme, and a backlot stunt theme in a area that does not really match those rides would not match the overall area's theme. But back to Tumbili, I must say it does look like it's going to be a pretty interesting ride experience. It's obviously a lot smaller than the other SNS 40 free spins, the ones that are Six Flags, the ones that go under the name Batman the Ride, the Joker, as well as there's one that's themed to Wonder Woman. I just don't remember his actual name. But those guys are a little bigger and do a little bit more. Tumbili is a little smaller. One big difference that comes off right away is at that very top part where it goes through the small little airtime hills. Because there's only one of those, while in the regular one, and there's two. As well as there's not too much. As well as when it goes back, there's the back part. When it goes back towards the lift hill is pretty similar. I think there's in the ones that Six Flags have built. There's a little more. There is an additional bump, plus there's a more obvious brake run near the end of it. While this thing, I think, from what I could tell, you start braking as soon as you go down that final bit. So, and now what I was wanting to discuss at the beginning of the video is because this is King's Dominion is owned by Cedar Fair. And I also know that Cedar Point has just gotten rid of Wicked Twister. Or I personally say this something like an SNS 40 free spin, but a really big one, like basically instead of a smaller version of the one that are at the Six Flags, but it would be a bigger version, like maybe even one that's pushing 200 foot, possibly. But what do you guys think? Do you think that would be something that Cedar Point really should consider, especially now that this gives us solid evidence that Cedar Fair is open to working with SNS. And it's just even in the comments of what your guys' think on that. As for again, and wrap up with Tumbili, I do say it's going to be a pretty fun ride. In fact, me and Andy, the Gemini Man, are planning to go down to King's Dominion in October, and one of the things that we're definitely going to be doing is getting our rides on this. So it would not only be a new coaster, not new coaster credit, but a brand new type for me, because I have never been on these things. As of making this video, I have not been on an SNS 40 free spin at this point. I mean, I've been wanting to get on them ever since I've heard of the Joker at Great Venture, back then, Total Mayhem, which I still say is a better name, but that's my opinion. But I will be pretty excited to see how these guys out, and definitely if any of you live near the King's Dominion area, I definitely recommend these things because they are pretty fun rides. But from what I've heard, again, with the ones that are at the Six Flags parks, or that your ride could vary. So with that spinning part, or you're flipping over and over again, that could vary. Sometimes you could be flipping like crazy, you feel like you're in like a barrel, or rolling in a barrel horse down a hill or something like. And other times it would feel more like a more intense rocking chair. Or so, like I said, your ride could vary. And on that note, this has been the Mr. Grider, and I'll see you next time.